Good morning. Dwayne here at Dry Creek Wrangler School. It's a Sunday morning on the last day of September. As you can see, it's kind of cloudy and overcast. It's chilly and there's a bit of breeze blowing, and fall is here. The last student from the last class of the year left yesterday. So Dry Creek Wrangler School has just put another year in the books, and so we're done. I just got back from the airport where I took Mama, and she's flying down to Texas to meet one of my daughters and the grandbaby, and then they're flying to Kentucky to get ready to meet everybody else for the wedding. And so we'll be heading out there for the wedding here soon. I'll be leaving here, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. I got stuff around here I got to get done and get the place and the horses and everything ready for winter. And then I'll start heading that way in the truck, and meet out there and be there for the wedding. And then I'm gonna head up to Idaho for a long while, probably a number of weeks. And you ever get, let's see, how do I, there's times in life we get to the place where we're like, I'm just not in a good place, but we can't figure out why. And sometimes we think, I think I'm depressed. And sometimes we feel hopeless. Sometimes we feel helpless. And we don't know what to do. I think a lot of times where we get to a place that's not a good place, it turns out it's exhaustion. I mean, think about it. They called me when I was in Papua New Guinea. I got a call on the UHF radio for some folks said, hey, will you come up to this other village for a week up there? And I said, sure. So me and some of the guys from the village, I got my backpack and everything, and we headed out. I had never been over there before. I did not know what the trip consisted of. So I hiked and crossed a major rushing river on bamboo poles and rocks. And when we got to the side, we had to start going up. I don't know if you can hear, there's a little calf over there bawling. I think they're gathering and he's trying to mama up. So anyhow, and you've got this long, really steep hill, and you climb it, and you climb it, and you climb it, and you can see the top, and you get to the top, and when you get to the top, what do you see? You see another hill. Keep going on up. And I got tired. I didn't take into account, like I said, I didn't know what I had ahead of me, and I didn't eat right that morning. I didn't have good breakfast, and I just got exhausted. And I knew I had a ways to go. So I stopped, and I rested for about 5 minutes. I mean, I really didn't have a whole lot of choice. If I didn't stop and sit down, I was going to stop and fall down. I was exhausted. And so I'd sit down and catch my breath and get up and go a little more. And then stop and sit down. And it got to the point, it's like, I'm never going to reach the top. It's too far away. It's just too hopeless. But I kept going. And I'd stop for just a little bit and let the quivering in my leg muscles settle down and catch my breath and keep going. And I made it all the way that evening into that village like that. And you know what I did when I got to the village? I took my shoes off, took my socks off, and I went in and I sat down, and I rested for good. But I didn't rest for good until I got to my destination. But the point is, I had to rest along the way, or I wasn't going to get to my destination. And there's physical exhaustion. We do things in life. If you work out, or you play ball, or you run, or you bicycle, or work, whatever you do. I mean, there's physical exhaustion, But there's also mental exhaustion and emotional exhaustion. And, you know, sometimes we need to figure out what is exhausting me. What has made me feel completely drained? I have nothing left to give. Well, sometimes it's not physical. Sometimes it's just you're in a mental situation, and you have been for a long time, or you're in a mental situation, and you have been for a long time, or you're in a spiritual situation, and you have been for a long time, and you haven't stopped to rest. Now, if you're going to rest from physical exhaustion, you need to rest for a period from physical activity. It's not rocket science. Makes sense, right? You have to stop doing what it is that is exhausting you so that you can come back to doing it again. Well, if you are mentally exhausted, then you need to put that down for a little bit and until you can rest from it. If you're emotionally exhausted, then you need to step away from what has got you to that point long enough to rest, to recover, and then come back to it. And then come back to it. All right? I don't know if you're familiar with a book written a long time ago by a fellow named John Bunyan called Pilgrim's Progress. Now, there's a pilgrim in there, and he's got a long journey ahead of him. And he just hadn't been on the journey very long, and he's got one of these mountains to climb. And he gets partway up this mountain, and he's exhausted. And there's a little arbor there for wayfarers to stop and rest. So he stops. And the rest is so good, and the arbor is so pleasant, and everything's so nice, he lays down, takes a nap. When he wakes up, it's way up late in the day. And it causes him a whole lot of trouble and a whole lot of grief. Not because he rested, but because he decided that resting was more long-term than it should or to been. All right? So maybe you and your spouse are just exhausted. Maybe this marriage situation is wearing you out. Well, instead of quitting and turning around and going back, maybe you guys just need a rest. Maybe you just need a break. A break from the marriage. Now, I know people, all right, and that doesn't mean breaking up. I'm not talking about separating. Quigley's up here fuzzling. And I'm dang sure not talking about immorality, okay? I'm not talking about any of that. But, you know, sometimes it's like, honey, why don't you just go visit your sister for about a week? We won't text. We won't. Horses are funny. We won't. Okay, let's just take a break. With the full-on understanding that we're resting in order to come back and to continue on this journey. All right? Maybe, fellas, maybe you need to just go camping for a week. All right? Maybe you need to go hunting. Quigley, go on. Go on. Quit fuzzing with that gate. Probably just messed up my video pounding on this board. But you may just need a break. Mama, you stay at home mom, you got 3 kids, you hadn't been a mom, you know, for the last 20 years, and it's starting to get to you. And it's going to exhaust you. And we get exhausted, we fall down. Maybe you need to find, if you've got good parents or good in-laws, maybe you need to set it up so you can take the children over to somebody that you love and trust, and then go take 4 or 5 days with your husband and just rest. Rest from what is exhausting you. resting with the understanding that after I have rested for a little bit, I will come back and pick up my burden and carry on. I'm not going to lay down in this arbor and then just quit going on, but I'm going to rest. That's why I'm going up to Idaho. I'm tired. I'm not physically tired. Man, I have had the greatest bunch of kids this week around here helping me and taking care of the physical burden and everything. But I'm not a overly social fella in a natural state. And it's just been folks coming through, and they've been good folks. This is what we do, and we love what we do, and this is why we do it. But the truth is, it's like pretty much 7 days a week, there's a new bunch rotating through here. And then this channel has, at this point, I don't know, well over 800,000 subscribers. So there's all that to keep up with, and all of the emails and all the text and all the constant, and I'm just tired. And I don't wanna be wore out from people to the point that I quit this journey. But I'm tired. But I understand what it is that has made me exhausted, where it has exhausted me, and so I'm going to rest. And I want to encourage you. If you feel hopeless and you feel helpless and you feel distressed and you feel exhausted and you feel wrung out and you feel like you keep stumbling and you keep falling down, well, we stumble and we fall down when we're too exhausted to go on. And we get too exhausted to go on when we don't just stop and take little rests. Okay? It's like vacation jobs. I hope this wind isn't messing up the sound too much. It's like vacation jobs. You know, vacation is the word vacate. And to vacate is to leave. And not just leave your job for a period of time, but leave that stress. But we plan it weeks in advance. People will plan their vacation when they finally get time off to recharge and recoup and recover. But they're doing plane tickets and they're doing tickets to go down to Disney World, and they got to catch the flights, and they got all these little kids and all the luggage, and they got to catch the connecting flights, and then they get there and they have to get the shuttle to the motel, and they've got to get checked into the motel, and then they've got to, by, you know, such and such time, we got to be up, and we got to have the kids rounded up, and we got to go down to Disney World, and we got to walk through, and we got to go through the rides, and we got to do this. And by the time you get back to work, you're more exhausted than you were when you left, because you didn't vacate. You didn't vacate. Vacation does not mean entertainment. Resting does not mean entertainment. It means resting. Okay? So, anyhow, I hope that you find the rest. All right? Rest with the understanding that I'm catching my breath so I can come back and continue on my journey. So I can continue doing what I'm doing. All right? But rest. Okay? Whether it's mental, emotional, or physical. Don't wear yourself out to the point that you're no good to anybody, including yourself. All right? So, I always tell, because I always get asked, Brick House Maduro. I don't think there's much else this morning, so I'm just gonna call this off here. Be logical. All right? Be reasonable. Be safe. And rest. And we'll catch you guys next time.